Man, that beat drop. That's good. Okay. What's up, everybody? I'm Mr. Glasgow. This is Mr. Glasgow TV. It is Tuesday, May 7th, 2019, and we're going to play some Escape from Tarkov. I jumped into it to kind of get my key bindings right because I'm really particular about it. And it handles pretty nice. I'm liking so far how the gunplay feels, even though I didn't get into any gunfights. It's a kind of survival, ultra realistic, military tactical shooter, looter, whatever you want to call it. And I've had my eye on it for a little bit, and there's just something different. Even though it's not my the genre, this genre isn't really my cup of tea in particular. Something's always been alluring about them in this particular Escape from Tarkov. So we're gonna give it a try, see how bad we fail, and then keep going from there. All right, let's see. Let me get in here. Hope everybody had a good weekend and all that. This is... Oh god, updates. Okay, fine. We're fine. Maybe. Check for updates. Was I supposed to do this ahead of time? Probably. Oops. So this is the Escape from Tarkov. Has something to do with, I don't know if they fully released the story. I think there is actually I just recently followed their Twitter, and it looks like they actually make like live action. I don't know if they're just like hype videos or actual videos that allude to a underlying story. But from what I understand, Tarkov is a fictional place in Russia where something bad happened, and the Russians are trying to get in there and find out. I think there's a company called like Terror Corporation was doing something shady in there, so they're trying to go in there and figure out what they did. Meanwhile, you have U.S. Mercenaries coming in to try to destroy evidence and make, basically they're being paid by Terra to kind of destroy evidence or whatever. And but basically you're in like this wasteland or something like that. Something to that effect. So let's see here. Oh wait, no. I haven't really done anything to my main character. Wait. Character. Okay, this is where this is the game here. Managing your inventory. Now, I only have a standard edition of the game, so I basically, some would say I'm not gonna truly appreciate the game because this inventory space is just way too small. There are locker or cases I can get, I guess, to extend it within the case, have storage. Whatever. We have guns. What's something that can point out? Another aspect of this game that I like is this. So this is just an AKS, but you have things out there like the I see, and that's another thing. I don't know guns, so I'm I'm hoping that this game can kind of teach me, so I'm just not so lost all the time as far as when people talk about guns. but you can customize every gun in every way that you can customize a gun in real life. As far as I understand, it might not be true, completely true, but like it has this kind of magazine in it. I don't have any other kind of magazines. Don't have any other kind of stocks. Don't have anything to change on it. But I can take it off and have a weird looking gun that doesn't have a top. I know it's not called the top receiver. Is that what this is? What's this? Muzzle brake. I don't know, man. But that's, I think, a really cool aspect of the game. And you really get in depth. That's what you could do. Okay, so how are we gonna do this? I don't know. I feel like I should keep practicing as like a scav so I don't lose any of my stuff. And a scav is essentially, this is my character. PMC, I'm not sure what that stands for. Paramilitary something, I don't know. But anything you take into the raid and die with, you lose. Unless you have it insured and nobody steals it off your dead body, then you can get it back. A scav is essentially a one-off character where you can actually still get the loot, from what I understand, but your gear is randomized. So you may go in there decent, you may go in there super weak, and you're kind of just meant to be thrown into some, I guess, in my mind, the way I see it is they're meant to be thrown into other people's games so that they have a little bit of diversity as far as going up against super sweaty characters and just kind of just like filler characters. So I'm gonna go to, I don't know any of these maps. This is a nice small map, but that means I'm like, I don't know. Where is, this fist is insane. This is hard, insane. Those are the only two settings that we got, apparently. I wouldn't say this is insane. I'd say this is insane because it's so tight, close quarters. Let's do shoreline. And I'm thinking this is in the morning, 7 in the morning. Ready. Don't judge my controls. Please. So I don't know if I'm gonna have this gun. I don't know. Or this gas mask. That's another thing. If you get shot in the face and you have a face mask, you'll see where the bullets made contact. So it'll be like cracked, so you can have to either pull it up, which I actually don't know what the key binding would be for that. Now that I say it, what's the key binding for your face mask? Hello? Loading map, 100%. Hello? Escape from Tarkov. Oh! Preparing the game. Alright, guys, here we go. Let's try not to get too sweaty here. I'm just a one-off kind of character. It's raining. So I do have this. And I do have a mask. Okay. so you get what's in the picture. I guess I could put my. Can't click and drag these. Oh, they have to be up here or something, right? In your pockets. So I have to put them in my pockets to be able to put them on the hot bar. Okay, no. Okay. Map. Oh, okay. So I don't have a map of this area. So I have to find a map, put it into my inventory to be able to reference it. So there you go. Some of the level of detail that you get with the game. So I actually have to find a map and loot it. So I'm kind of just a loot monster. So I see buildings, I'm gonna go towards them. I don't know how allegiances work. I guess there really isn't one. If I see another computer scav, as long as I don't shoot them, they won't shoot me. But if I see either faction, the game kind of tells you this is your world, kind of, and you just got to play by your own rules. So I'm searching. There's nothing in that case. I'm moving. I'm stuck. You got leaning mechanics. You have slow lean. That you can incrementally do that. Same thing with crouching. Actually, I need to change it. Hold on. Tactical. I want this to be. So yeah, you can very specifically adjust your lean and your stance, which is kind of crazy. Pretty crazy balls. And what else do they have? I can look at my. Hold on. Make sure there's a bullet in the chamber. That's supposed to be magazine check, I think. But since this doesn't have a magazine, it just does the same thing. And then single fire. You could check your fire mode. Wait, can I even go over here? I think this is just completely blocked off. Alright, new plan. So we're just gonna go find some buildings and loot monster it up. Maybe find some people. I don't know why they say this is insane. Maybe it's insane for a real life player. Could that be something to loot? Yeah. Something to really appreciate with the attention to detail. Oh, so yeah, if you brush up against trees and bushes, you'll make a loud noise, like so. So if somebody around here might have heard that, you might now be on high alert. Can't climb this, can you? Hello, any bad guys here? Any maps? And obviously your footsteps make different noises on different material. Pretty sure I would die if I fall down here. I need to find civilization. They spawned me out here in the middle of nowhere. Anything hiding behind here? No. Another thing is if you brace yourself up against the wall, see my gun? That is real. So if I try to shoot, I can't because I'm braced up against the wall. And also, if somebody just bum rush you and they get within that if they're that close to you, then you can't shoot them because they're pushing your gun up or to the side. So you gotta think fast. Have a sidearm ready. Do I have a sidearm? I have a knife. I have a kid knife. Like everything makes a sound, so even when I do this, someone can hear that. I think. I just assume everything's pretty much. I just estimate. I feel like I should be safe. I just overestimate this game's ability to like to try to tend towards the realism. Because even as realistic as this game is, apparently they still want to ramp it up. So like, I have to worry about food or it's food. I guess there is no food. Energy, I guess. This is my stomach. 86 out of 100 for hydration. So there's all these things. You can get shot in the leg, then you can't sneak around. Shot in the arm. I think that messes up how you shoot. Just going hunting. Oh, crap. Just going hunting. Don't mind me. There's a building up there. Don't mind me. So last time I found the entrance that said ruined road, ruined house fence. Oh, those are different exits. So last time it said lighthouse and like headquarters basement or something. And I just lucked out. I said, okay, this looks like a headquarters. Let me just head to the basement of this building. And luckily I found it. I actually found an exit with like 5 minutes to go. So I can't go up this mountain. So let's see. Ruined road, ruined house fence. Ruined road, ruined house fence. I feel like maybe a ruined road might be easier to find than a house. These maps are not small. What if they gotta put animals in here? So the bear is the symbol of the Russian people. And then also the acronym for their military squad. Would this place have loot? be nice if I could find something to drink. Can I collect the rainwater? Can that be a thing? Can that hurt me? Probably. I'm gonna assume yes. Oh. Let's assume it does. Can and will. And I feel like I remember watching stuff about DayZ back in the day, and them talk about looting and really being like you can loot anything and anywhere. I feel like what they were describing, this game pulls off better. You can like literally loot a hanging coat on the wall. Here, I could loot this. Examine. Inspect. Examine. So I have something to drink, yes. I have cigarettes, why not? Oh, I heard you're supposed to drink those as soon as you find it. CPU fan, alright. So this will give me hydration and I think a little boost of energy for a little time. On to the next loot. I feel like I heard noises, but I think it was me looting. That's another thing, you gotta basically play this game super paranoid about everything you hear. So it's hard to talk. Because now I got all these bears poking. They should have an outfit that's like a bear. Like a big old bear, and it's like, oh, that's just one of those statues. Surprise! I'm not a statue. I'm a bear. As in the... I see buildings over there, but I kind of just want being a chicken right now. And who knows? They might have like really obscure loot in these random places to reward people who are actually coming here. That's the kind of game developer I'd be. Oh hey, thanks for coming, looking in this most random of locations. I appreciate you. There's a lot of stuff. Okay, here, that building there. I don't know, what time? 42 minutes. I don't know how long a raid is. If I had to guess, we're still early on. So here we go. I'm killing scavs too. My brethren scavs. You know what would be really good? I mean, not good for me because of my situation, but like maybe if you come in from the rain, there's like a timer for the amount of time your footsteps are squeaky. I'd really ramp up the realism. and stress. Okay, it's really dark. What happened here? Somebody got tortured. They hooked up a generator to this dude? Jesus. People were just watching. So I didn't open this door. So the question is, am I behind somebody? Or somebody behind me? My guess is somebody did what I did. Came in here, closed the door, maybe left out this way. Oh, wait, can you see footsteps? I think you can, right? No. See, uh-oh. There's a dead body here. But it's treating it like it's, so you can't examine while you're... Hey, Snickers bar. Except it's called Slackers. More drink. I don't know what this is. Is this chocolate? Oh, this is like a Hershey's, I guess? I don't know. Got all the candy, so we need to find a backpack. Dead skiff. So usually they actually show like his armor and weapons, so this might be a body that's always here. Because they don't show, they would basically show this, and they're not. So nobody killed this guy. This guy's been dead a while. A lot of footsteps here though. Maybe that was his? Probably change the lighting. I didn't touch any of this. Can I not change it here? Field of view is probably wrong. It seems tight. 75 look like. Looks a little fish eye. A little fish eye like. And I was kind of fine where I was with 60. But for your guys' sake, I could do this. Capture, filter, and we can do color correction and do like brightness, gamma, so you guys can see something in the dark. So you guys are actually seeing it better than I am by a hair, or actually by a lot. It looks like I'm gonna have to flip that, get ready to flip that off if we enter someplace that's bright. Let me see if I can make it more. Keep that here. So I don't have a flashlight. Almost kind of want to look at my stream more. Breach. So breach means I'm going to kick the door. That means it's locked, I think. I don't want to make any noise. Searching this. Ooh, rubles. It's money. Can I stack these? Oh, I can. Thanks for that. That's valuable. Valuable for, obviously be able to purchase stuff with money. I don't think I'm gonna make it out of here. Look. Examine. Oh! Dang it. Like the bullets there too. Oh wait, can I pick up the spent bullet? Where did I put it? Take. God. That scared the crap out of me. So where did I put that bullet? Did I put it right back here? Is a spent bullet still usable? That doesn't seem right. Unless it's in here as a dud. That could be a thing. Looks like I could take this. Can of fish. See, the thing is, I might have attracted more, if not other players, scavs. By doing that, they're gonna. Nothing moving is gonna be good for me. I'm gonna be freaked out by anything and everything. Okay, I have a green light here. I want to say green light is a hint of where loot is. Green. Oh, here, this bag. Nothing. But then obviously because it's green, someone's more likely to come here also and look for whatever the green light is doing. Can I play the guitar? Boom, boom. Open door. It's so dark. Don't take it. Almost kicked it. There's a bag here. Cigarettes. What's this? Paracord. So this will allow me to propel? Or repel, maybe? So you can see it's hard, because I have such a long gun, it's actually hard for me to go strafe inward into a doorway. So it's locked. Almost shot that plant. Is this a crate? Can't really hardly loot anything. Examine. Ooh, that's good. Kind of makes me nervous though, because do I really want to engage? some organizing. Put this down here. No, I can't put this here. Check for movement. Because I believe all glass is breakable. What's that? Unknown item. PPT GZH. I don't know what that is. What's this? Is that a weapons part? What's up, Jason? How's it going? I think these are either weapons part or ammo. It's like looks like it's a box of ammo that's clipped through the table. Hey, look, it's the game I'm playing. Escape from Tarkov. How's it going? Something clipped to the floor. Anything here? So I'm surprised. I'm actually surprised I can't interact with this lock here. That surprises me. Feeling better? Yeah, it's a little weird. It's like I have symptoms of something, but I feel fine. Like I'm like even coughing up stuff, and it's like not pretty sight, especially in the morning. But it's just like, oh, that's there. It's a concerning color, but I feel fine. But lately, I've missed a couple streams here and there because I've been doing a bunch of research on like. At first, it was Oxygen Not Included while I was playing it, and then it was this game, and then what is it? Selling on Amazon, e-commerce and stuff. So this is a room key. Dorm room 203. I feel like I take this. And it's funny because I'm looking at all this loot like, oh yeah, got all this loot. I'm probably gonna die so hard. I don't know what I should trade here. I guess I could eat something. Nom nom nom. Also, someone could hear all that. Do I take duct tape over whatever this is? It's a lighter. It's a regular lighter. If I were in real life, I would definitely take duct tape over a lighter. How's it selling on Amazon work? Well, it's in particular fulfillment by Amazon. Is basically you set up an account with them. You send them. You stockpile. You like get whether you buy brand new, whether you go to a thrift store, where you go to a garage sale. You accumulate a mass of items. You process them on the website that you're gonna sell. That you're gonna send it to them. You send it to them, and they basically handle everything else. I mean, you of course handle how much you want to sell it for, like your price point. So whether you want to be competitive or whatever. But I feel like that'd be something I can do. Something I can work with. I tried ride sharing, and the fact that they're about to go on strike should say something about how well that's been going. How well that's been going. And then there's a level of fulfillment by Amazon where you figure out a product that you want to produce. The example in a YouTube video is bamboo skewers for like marshmallows. You contact using Alibaba.com or whatever. You contact I don't know if it's actually .com, but whatever. Contact like a Chinese manufacturer. They produce it. They send it to Amazon for you in bulk, and you basically, do certain things here and there to try to rank under their search algorithms, and then basically you're manufacturing and selling something legit. It sounds like a headache, but it's like, as a stay-at-home parent in particular, it's like my options are slim. Who's going on strike? So apparently at like from noon to sometime, a bunch of Uber drivers are gonna turn off their app. And based on the pulse that I've had on driving and being in some of the forums and experiencing some of the communities, I don't think there's always people that just got to drive. There's always people. They don't care. They probably don't even know about what's going on in the politics and the dollars and cents of it. Barely even know how their own accounting is working, but they just don't care otherwise. They just know they can make money, so they're just going to make the money. Didn't know I was a stay-at-home parent? Yep. The boys are about to be able to go to daycare, so I'm in that kind of transition phase where I could, do stuff while they're at school, or even do stuff with them. Like one aspect of fulfillment by Amazon is something that's called retail arbitrage, which is you buy things low and sell them at whatever they're selling on Amazon, which you only buy obviously something that's selling higher. In my personal experience, you mean with Uber as a parent? Search. Uber, it's just the kids. They mess up my car, so it's like dirty all the time. So I just haven't had the time to do it. And even then, they're trying to saturate the market with drivers. So then they have they have their prices really competitive, which basically means they have really low prices. So that when they transition to self-driving cars, this is just my opinion, and I think it's a popular opinion actually, but when they transition to self-driving cars, they just phase all the drivers out. So even though Uber and Lyft, they're all losing money. They're all competing with each other to have the lowest price to get all the customers. And the drivers are really pissed about it for obvious reasons. Early on, it was so lucrative that you could put a lease on a car and then be ranked as a higher, more luxury tier. But then they started and then that was fine, right? You're making money, but then they broke in new tiers. So then there's a new lower tier that was lower than what you were, and then they made an even lower tier, which was basically like it works like a bus, Uber Pool, or where you ride with other people on a multi-stop adventure. And the experience overall wasn't that bad. I don't know what this is. How ready to eat meals. Like, look, there was like some guy who said he did the Uber Pool. It was Lyft. It was a particular Lyft thing, but for them it's called Lyft Line. And he wanted to be dropped off at his exact stop. And I was like, that's not how this works. Your app is even telling you get out of the car. And he had this fit, and he gave me like 1 star. And it's like, how am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to deal with this? And the thing is, some people just don't refuse. They refuse. Some drivers refuse to pick up. That didn't give me any of my hydration. I just eat it all, so no one else can eat it after me. Ha ha. Oh, this is giving me hydration. That doesn't make any sense. And I think if I were to clean up my car and be like, you know what, I feel like going out and driving just to maybe drive, listen to some music, meet some interesting people, maybe. Like I'm not a convert. I don't conversate, but sometimes you get people that are coming from the bar and they're just fun-loving people. They're just trying to get home safe, and that you feel like you're a part of that you're a part of their. I mean, now obviously there's people out there doing s- you know bad things to their passengers who are drunk and stuff. So I feel like also with that being said, that I'm part of one of the good ones, so to speak. So I know there's an exit down here, so this might actually be a hairy situation where I can maybe get somebody who's trying to exit. You'd be surprised how many people prefer a silent driver. Like that's the meme in the community, that the driver just talks too much and has a mixtape that they're trying to drop. Matches peas. Do we eat the peas? Sure, let's eat the peas. I'm just eating everything. People are like starving. Can I watch myself eat it? I say hi, how they're doing. I have the whole. I have chargers available for them. I have Spotify. I have a Spotify account, so if they want to listen to anything without ads, they can. I offer water, bubble gum, but at a certain point, it just becomes too much all the time. Like you feel like you're badgering them to get a good rating. So you wanna kind of feel out your fare to see if they're that kind of that kind of person that's open to have a conversation, because some of them are. Start talking about the music, weather, obviously. But if they're just like on their phone, you just hang, just get them there to where they want to go, and they'll appreciate you for it sometimes. Yeah. Oops. God, I didn't want to do that. These both lead to outside. How bright is it for you guys when I go here? It's kind of bright. A little bright. Yeah, there's different schools of thought when it comes to talking to your passengers. Some people are like, mind your own business and just drive. Some people are like, man, this guy is really creepy because he's not he's not saying anything. I'm more towards the latter, but I'm friendly enough. I say hi, how you doing? Sometimes it's awkward, more awkward for me because I'm getting threatened by like bar managers. Can I just eat it? You better get, they got their waitress here that I'm taking home. So yeah, you better get her home safe. I don't want any funny business. I'm like, dude, chill. What's your name, huh? Yeah? All right. Don't make me come find you. I'm like, oh man, I got kids. But at the same time, I get it. There's the one joke that's like you're raised, or there was a time where you're raised to not talk to strangers, not talk to strangers, meet people online, and now you're using your phone to meet people online. Or what is it? It's like told to not get in the car with a stranger, and you're not to, or meet people online, and you're doing both with ride sharing. What is this? Pimp and share. Marshall line ladies that need more pimps told block. 1,500 every 2 weeks. 4,075 days. I couldn't be a pimp. Okay, I think that's me. I think these footsteps are other people's footsteps, though. I can't be a pimp. Imagine me as a pimp. ladies. How would I even prep them? Pep talk them? Do they need pep talks? I don't know. Is violence the pep talk? I'm not that guy. Clearly. Make me my money. No. But like, I mess around, try to pimps. If I mess around and try to pimp anybody, I'm gonna get in a situation where I'm the one, next thing you know, making other people money. What is this? Get out there and make me my money. Like, you go out there. All right. But can we tag team? Like, is there like a buddy system we could do? What is this? This looks like what is this? What is it? You put it in a looks like a washing machine. But at first glance, it looks like antifreeze or something. Coolant. Can I make somebody drink that like in Daisy? Wait. Was that me zipping the bag back up? Because I definitely heard a zipper. Oh, sad story. You follow a trainer pimp. I have this picture in my head of a pimp hat with a little band that says "Pimp in Training." Oh, I have one. I have one of those reflective vests, so I know where to stand, or I won't get hit by a car driving down the street. Oh man, I'm like the crossing guard. All right, pimps going to K Street. Hoes going to K Street this way. Hoes going, hoes going to MGM. We got a limo coming. Wait right here. It's like, man, you are a fine assistant pimp. Well, thank you. uh, So I haven't seen anybody, not even scavs. Babysitting service. Oh, nice. What are other benefits? Wait, I have a key actually. Now I think about it. 203. But it says dorm, so I don't think that's this place. Even though this kind of does look like a dorm. 203. 305. I'm on the wrong floor. What other benefits can I expect from assisting pimping? Working my way into professional pimping. to get a dental card. I did not mean to do that. Wait, were there stairs somewhere? Haven't heard anything. I feel like the timer. Oh, we got 10 minutes. We've been dilly-dallying. So I feel like I'm safe, but if I only knew where the exit was. I feel like I kind of hear footsteps. I can't tell if they're mine. 208. 207. I don't know what happens if you die before reaching exit. My guess is you don't get your stuff. Coming vehicle, discount, hotels, dental, medical, hazard. Nice, nice. So it's this one. So how do I use the key? 203. This is not the dorm then. Oh God. Wait, can I? That's kind of cool. My question is, can I crawl out the window? Oh, come on. It's like a battle royale. You're like in what's called like a raid. So I'm in here with other players who are trying to find loot to kind of sell or upgrade their own stash. And I'm technically playing as what's called a scab, which is like a randomized player that you get to play as. But you get to take all this loot back and give it to your main guy. Use all of it. I gotta worry about my hydration over here. I got a nice sight on this. I'm not sure if I could put it on here. Won't worry about that if I ever make it to a... So I gotta get to... Open this. Oh. Should probably take out my gun. I gotta get out of here. Help. If I hit this twice... Where is it? Find extraction point, ruined road or ruined house fence. So I have to find those locations to exit this map. I have 7 minutes, so I'm not worried about running at this point because I feel like anybody who's playing this with more experience are like, okay, let's get out of here. Or they're waiting for people to try to exit in a panic. But then they gotta loot in a panic, so it's like, is it really worth it? Ruined road. If I had to guess where a ruined road is, or a ruined house, I don't think I'm gonna make it. Ruined road, ruined house fence. Kind of just gotta run around until I see it. And I think there are also like other exits, optional exits. I wonder if I can run faster if I have my knife out. But then I'm at a disadvantage if I run up on somebody. Ruined road, ruined house. Is that a ruined road? It better be. Uh, good. I get shot so hard. How bright is it for you guys? I think I gotta turn this off. Oh god! Ah, barbed wire! I'm fine. Ah, my legs. So barbed wire actively damages you. Oh my god. 5. How do I don't know. Health. On my legs. I don't know. 5 minutes. I can still run, so that we're fine. I think we just took a little bit of damage. Okay, this road is ruined because there's a drone on it. This is it. I believe. Maybe. Ruined road. I think it's where on the ruined road. I'm guessing I would see a flare. Amazon Flex driving for I've looked at that. I got waitlisted. I did all that at the same time. Technically, I guess there's also like Uber Eats and Postmates and all the food ones, so I don't have to worry about like people, other than deliver the people I deliver to. But oh no, it's a kind of numbers game where the numbers are always been kind of diluted and crunched by all the like Uber and all the other companies to like kind of give the drivers not the best cut, and tipping, I don't know. I've only driven but for so many rides, but I don't think this area is has a big tipping culture. Oh, they have it so that you could drive over there. I know they have it so you could drive your own too. I guess same thing with like Uber and them. They have a program where you can lease a vehicle from them. Looks like a church. Maybe I'll find sanctuary in the church. I'm looking for a ruined house. Oh, logistics. I get it. Okay. If this is a house, this is a miracle. I don't think it is. I think this is a church. It's a cemetery. Maybe one of these houses is the exit. I were ruined. We have 2.5 minutes to pick a house to see if it's the exit house. My guess is it wouldn't be in the middle. It'd be on the outskirts. Oh no! You have slower movement in the mud. You're screwed. Still probably gonna get shot. Maybe it's towards the end of this road, because they'll be like, it's about as far away from all the action as you can get. So this will make sense that this is a exit. There could be other people like me, like still hanging out in the game. Technically, there could be computer players, but I don't think I'm actually on the same side as the computer players at this point, because I'm not on my own character. It could be this house. Exit. I could take this whole thing. Ooh, what's this? With 1 minute left in the game, I'm more than likely playing by myself. I don't know how to get out. Maybe that's the roadhouse. 40 seconds. And the thing is, if I go to here, map, it says I don't have a map in my inventory, so I can't check my map unless I looted a map, like if I found one in the town. This could be the ruined road. It could be a ruined house. This has to be the ruined road. Maybe this little blockade here. Come on, run. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No. No. The next time I touch Sekiro is probably when they have like a DLC. Missing in action. He's just lost. You have lost all items you received or found during the raid. Thanks. No kills. Looting. So all that experience, though, I think still counts towards my guy's experience, my count's experience. Because, like, this is my character guy. And I haven't taken him on any missions because what happened would be what would probably happen. They have DLC? I'd imagine it'd probably be like how Dark Souls had it, where it's like a whole new area with maybe a boss for that area. I haven't technically beat the that monster that was in the field with where the guy with the bull was. See, one of the raids I did with a scav, and he had a shotgun, so that's where the shotgun came from. You fight the Owl Father a second time? Owl Father. I don't remember a second time. There's the one on top of. There's the one where you fought the Ishin guy, right? On the top. And he does all the lightning stuff, and then he jumps off. And then you come back later, and it's your father dude. But I don't remember second time. I remember the guy that carves all the stuff. Oh, he's at the butterfly place. Because I'm going back in time to go there just randomly, like when I got lost. Oh no, there's a timer on them. I gotta go in. I guess I could do. I could do my character, I guess. I gotta. But let's not send him in with any guns. See, this is what is it? I mean, it doesn't have anything. It's just basic. You can swap out all this stuff. I feel like maybe we go in with how do I unload ammo? at all this. Trying to organize all this crap. I'm not done. I'm done. I don't wanna. So I feel like this is the container that anything I put in here gets back. So it's technically not a complete loss if you die in them streets. But maybe I bring a shotgun with me that I got from the scavs. Let's put on a mask and a hat. Because why not? I think you could fold this. What's the button to fold this? Fold stock L. I guess that's when you actually have it in the game. Okay. Fold. So now it's tinier. For organization. Probably good to bring a juice. Because I feel like during a raid, you at least need to drink once. You need to find something to drink at least once. Eating, not necessary, I don't think. Alright. Saying that's my guy. Alright, maybe we do factory? This is a more close quarters. 4 to 6 players in there, and I kind of watched other people do it, so I kind of know where I should go, but then because it's so tiny and we'll see. Make a 95%. I mean, I killed the dude, man. I got the dragon curse off of I saved the world from having a bunch of dragon people, dragon blood. All that's left to do is burn all the temples to the ground so that it can't be repeated. Because technically, Sekiro didn't do anything to prevent it from being repeated. So maybe that's this Sekiro 2, Sekiro DLC. Everything must burn. My hat's clipping. Maybe I get the girl from the. That's the thing, though. I think I messed up the order. So there was supposed to be something I did with the rice temple girl. So she's just still there. MrGlasco, my main character. Going in here with a shotgun and a prayer. Probably shouldn't have brought all my shotgun ammo, but this is my only shotgun, so let's go. You calling me out? You calling out my incomplete Sekiro game? Where's the oh. That feels like an actual player. Because the computer players don't have that sense of urgency. Oh! Where is it? God dang it! Someone who throws a flashbang also, if not a grenade, that's also player person. So I'm dead. Just like that. This is what I was afraid of. Does it say whether I was killed by a person? Where do I see that? Or did I skip it? Dang it. Let's say this goes in this gun. Let me organize this a little. You're better. You're better. Better. Until they make a versus. Then we can settle it in the streets. In the pagodas of Sekiro. Which is, I don't know, they did it with Dark Souls, and these are the same people with Dark Souls. I wonder why not here? I didn't get any experience like towards this stuff. I just ran around like crazy. So the question is, did 6 minutes pass and can I play Scab again? Yes. He has a handgun with the flashlight, looks like. He has a helmet. Humble yourself. You can't defeat my Wu-Tang sword style. Wu-Tang sword style. Customs. Interchange. Factory. I feel like maybe we have a better chance. Let's try somewhere else. Actually, I kind of don't want to try anywhere else because I don't even know. Don't even know where these exits are. I need to watch a map tutorial or something. Let's do 12. This one, I don't know. Always name your stream. Streams when playing Sekiro. What's up, Secular? Map on the second screen. Makes sense, makes sense. I guess I can, what is this, customs? Customs maps. I guess I should put Escape from Tarkov. Now I just got a bunch of random maps. A bunch of random looking maps. This looks like one. Watch me get shot right here. Customs. There we go. The easiest side. To the west. Now I need to find a compass. So it looks like 45 minutes is the time. Let's see what my exits are. Sniper roadblock. Warehouse 17. Skirt. Well, I don't even know where I am, so. Sniper roadblock. Warehouse 17. Okay. I see warehouse 17. Sniper roadblock. Okay, I see sniper roadblock. So north, mid, kind of west. What does it randomize as a scav? I mean, I guess everything wrapped in that. What is Say something. Say something. I'm trying to look at what my tactical is. Okay, it is a flashlight. That's good to know. At least for a person, for my main character, it's the same every time ish, maybe, or depending on where you spawn in. Look at me going towards the gunfire noises. Is this what a scab does? And you play like a scab, and people leave me alone. Be a chance on Facebook or Instagram. Just bought PS4. Want to know what games you should buy? Oh, why not? What's up? Silent Stitcher. I guess I should loot. Does this building have anything? Doesn't look like I can get in here. Okay. Anybody in here? I don't think you can go in this building. I feel like you'd be able to see through the window if you could. Alright, let's go over here. Just gotta find an opening in this wall, and we're good to go. I wonder if you could jump up here and then jump off and walk across the top. PlayStation 4 games to buy. I mean, I just have it for the exclusives. But any game with like a controller, heavy focus on the controller, I guess is a good recommendation. Like Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. Games like that, even though it's not exclusive. What's an exclusive? Red Dead Redemption, even though it's coming out on PC in December, I want to say. And that's when you're going to get people modding it and role-playing in it. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be literally the Wild West. Days Gone is exclusive. Yeah. God of War, definitely. If you haven't played God of War, definite. Can I smoke my cigarette? Oh, wait, is this not a cigarette? What is this? Is that an EpiPen? Military use drug. It stimulates his regeneration process by increasing the bio. Okay. Steroids. I have some steroids. Anybody with better guns than me? Oh. Spotlight. Let's go into this warehouse. Wait. Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to go over there, but do I hop this fence maybe? Or do I go loot in here to try to find something to fight these people with? Even though you don't actually like find weapons like that in this game. If you find weapons, you find them by taking them off a corpse that's been killed and not planted there by the level. All right, let's see. Let's see what we can see. Oh, it's like the bear. The bear went over to the fence. The bear went over to the fence. The bear went over to the fence to pop a cap into whoever he saw. If I jump this, there's no coming back. Jump. All right. Here Lights on me. Wait, I think that was a raindrop artifact on my eyeball because my guy's not blinking. Imagine if they made blinking. Ugh. It's like too much realism. You can see something? It's like Escape From Tarkov, please. You can't have blinking. Instead, we have guys with no eyelids. Anybody here? Okay. So if I were to use those two towers and this train as a reference, I am train bridge, gas station. Okay. Gas station. Didn't I see a gas station? Gas station. I'm on this part looking there. So from the train tracks looking at the gas station. I'm not on the train tracks. I'm looking at the gas station probably from here. Maybe I'm not. Yeah. So I actually have to go away from the gas station. No. Getting it. Behind. I have to go this way for warehouse 17, I think. Do you on the south perimeter of the map? Yeah. Right? That's the right way. So I go this way and I go away from the thing and I bear right. But there's not a wall. Oh no, this doesn't look the same. Did they update the maps at any point to make them look different? Nope, can't go in there. I'm bad at reading maps. I've been spoiled by technology. I'm not even that young to be like that. I should know how to read the maps. I'm probably approaching a dead end, aren't I? Or a super ultra secret Ready Player One style Easter egg. You don't know. You didn't make this game. Hi, I made this game. Oh. See, the fact that, okay, I was about to say, the fact that they have a light on a door kind of, it should be like, this is a door to go in. Mm-hmm. Sniper roof. Is that sniper roof? Does warehouse 17 have a giant 17 on the side? That'd be great. Look. Yeah. 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 Come here. Come here, Crutch. Come here. knife. This man was picked clean. Oh, easy, private. Warehouse 4. Blah, you killed me. Okay. So I need to go that way. Oh, I see. Wait, what? I was looking at the old gas station. Okay. I was looking at this. I thought I was at the new gas station. I see, I see. I see, I see. So I need to go. Man. If I go back the way I came, I went up against this wall. I think. I don't know. Hey. You know me? You make shoes stink to me? Huh? Hey, man. How's it going? Jesus. This man has been stripped of everything, including his soul. All right. Let the fun begin. Maybe, maybe not. I do have a color corrected filter so you guys can see it better than I can. I can aim around the corner like. I think this might be an area where like there's somebody has like an objective, so maybe I'll run into that guy. It's like, oh, this is easy. No one's ever in this. No one's ever in this. But oh my God, a guy with a handgun standing there menacingly. Did I just do a circle? Is this the same? This is old. So I'm gonna go straight and then make a. Go straight and make a left. Just trying to get the bearings of my exit. And then kind of follow this wall. So I thought I was at this train track bridge. Okay, how do we get over? Go to the far right. Here we go. Yeah, doing circles. I'm covering my 6 o'clock. You gotta watch your 6. That's what they teach you in scav class. Check your 6, as they say. I did a hard check. Probably as hard as they come. I made sure I was not being followed, and if I am, man, they are. It's like Monster from the movie. It Follows. What's that? Double A battery. Gotta take the helmet. I get some sleep. All right, Jason. I'll see you around. I'll mull it over as to whether or not I find time to jump on Sekiro or not. Take some more beat down. deaths. See, I think there's an objective here for people. Hey, look. Oh, you guys can see. No, no worries. This is one of those games that I feel like backseating is, I don't want to say welcomed in the sense that like it's a blanket statement, but like there's just so much that like the fact that I have a map pulled up is not even frowned upon because it's just like imagine trying to learn this. The only way to learn this would probably be in offline mode, and I'd imagine that you'd have a timer the whole time, so it's not like you could just free explore. And maybe that's how some people want to do it, but nah, that's a little too extreme for me. This is like a crowd. That's another aspect of this game I kind of like. It's like a crowd-sourced effort. And now, of course, you get the people in here on some people's streams that might be trying to be counterproductive towards that effort. But is this the right way? Am I doing circles again? I don't know. I need a compass. Something fierce. Okay, wait. Is this the area that was like bear right, go down all the way? Is that this is? I keep turning this on and off at the wrong times. I should probably not have to turn it all the way off. Just a slider. Armor, what's up? Okay, what's this? What is it? Dune Mecha. Metka. What's that? Probably exit. Oh, is that a person? Probably another scab. Die! Okay, we killed it. We got a kill. Oh god. Maybe he has good guns. Had a great idea for a game, an RPG where all the characters are shaped like steering wheels. The combat would be turn-based. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, what did I do? I had to do that. You have no ammo for your gun, my mans? Okay. Okay. It's not changing it, so it's only single fire. Oh, did I not loot him correctly? I'm sorry, I'm new. I feel like vest. I don't see a vest. Ah. So yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm like Peter Griffin when he was. Oh, here we go. When he was, I forget what he was doing. He was trying to interrogate somebody, and he was like, they're doing a cavity search, and he pulled down his pants too. He's like, "Oh, sorry, I'm new." Oh wait, can I wear this? Oh wait, no, I have a tactical rig. I get it. Pockets. All right. Or he's like, "Sorry, I'm learning." So that looks like a healthy dose of health. So maybe put that there, and this here. 5 million years later. So I just reloaded, even though I didn't need to. Inspect. Does this look at all? Because it has a question mark out of 5. I check magazine. Okay. All right. Those are health packs, right? It's a nice little thing. Let's see, how am I gonna try to do this? I guess I could do. There we go. Figured it out. So we got like that health pack, this health pack. Oh, it has to be up here. Can I switch them out? Something like this. I should put them in order of most and not most. So the more jacked up I am, the higher number I do. Can I not? Oh, okay, it has to be up here. God dang it. Wait. Dip. Alright, there we go. Man, you'd expect the black knife is worthless. I just won't buy it. It has sentimental value. Sentiment has been spent. It's from one of my very earliest kills. You can't negotiate. Come on, man. This guy was just standing there and just shot him in the head. He was minding his own business. It was glorious. So we have 4 tanks here. Did I go the wrong direction? I feel like I've gone the wrong direction. I've gone pure east. Right? What is this? 4 tanks. I see 4 silos. This is like the easternmost part. I've gone as far east as I could possibly go. And my pick-me-up is... Give me the locations! How do you do it? Back to the wall and go left. Oh, this wall. Okay. I think that's what. Oh yeah. Okay, I remember now. Because we were trying to find this wall so we can get on the other side of it, so that we could go left the whole time, but we had to go right. So, in my mind, I'm like, I must be going right for a reason. Let's keep going. Let's keep it going. And I feel like if I were somebody looking for somebody to shoot, I'd like be along that line there. So we're gonna be out here in the woods, which should be a little bit more obscure of a sight line, unless this is where all the scavs hide. Since I killed a brother scav, they might be already aggroed to me. I don't know how it works. Like, hey, where'd you get that gun? Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because I was actually coming over here to explain that I'm supposed to give it to you. Pietro would never have parted with his gun. He killed his mother and father with that gun. Oh. Yeah, like I said, I was sent here to deliver something to you, and this is it. These knives are things, right? All right. I take this. Ooh, he has a face mask. Can I just put it on without even looking at what it is? Ooh, that'll make me look. Oh, I have to lose the helmet though. I think I prefer the. I'd rather have the helmet. I kind of want this. I want to bring it with me. Was this the gas station? Was this the boss? He had a mask like he was the boss. Hey, is this a drink? It was. So nothing was aggroed by that shot. I guess I could go in there, but I'm kind of running out of space. Someone might have heard the shot and might be looking for movement, so... Pouch. Oh, that's for if I had something. I guess I could ditch the battery. If I find something. A Bitcoin. Worth some dough. For show. Okay. So, gas station. So we're passing gas station, continuing along. These are the train tracks, so we're going on the other side of this. Do we go over or under? Okay, heads we go over, tails we go under. Alexa, tell Stream Assistant to flip a coin.
Tails.
Also, oh, I was supposed to say thank you, sorry. Sorry, Alexa. Also something I... No space for that. That looks like the meals, right? How do I eat it? Can I just eat it as it is? I guess I could drop something. Lunchbox. Oh yeah, the ASMR. I feel like I hear footsteps, but I think it's my own. I saw someone's gun. For sure. The way it was scanning though, it's more than likely a computer player or a computer. Cause like this is us. All computers are like, I am walking, scanning side to side. Probably shouldn't walk backwards. So I can go up there, engage him, maybe get a good, better gun. I could probably actually. Oh no! Oh! Can I? Cancel. Why can't I press 3? Okay. Is this a better gun? Wait. This is a shotgun. I'm exposing my good knowledge. Same thing happened in PUBG. First time I played, I was like, okay, I have this shotgun because it looks like a pump action shotgun, and I have this gun. It looks like a rifle of some sort. They were both shotguns. Anybody squatting in here? God dang it! Just popping pills for the fun of it. Oh man, I'm just realizing my vision is so clear, so crystal clear because of these pills. It's like, yes, my my eyes are dilating. That's what's happened, right? I guess technically that's what's happening. My pupils are getting bigger, so it's like collecting more light and more information. Jeez, it's so clear. It might be too bright for you guys. Looks like we got a Mexican standoff. Oh, never mind. He gave up. They called a truce. So I could kill all these guys, but I couldn't take their loot unless maybe one of them has a backpack. But then I don't think that's my objective, right? My objective is to mess with actual players. I feel like that's what our scavs are designed for. Oh. To kind of mix things up for the player that's in here with his actual character. I put everything in here and then put this on, right? Delete. Do that. It's in your pockets. Nothing. Is this a player? Backpack? No, okay. I feel like when I watch some people play, though, their eyesight is always like this. So I wonder if there's maybe goggles that they're special. What is those? Gunners? Maybe they're wearing gunners. Is this a backpack? Can I put it on my pouch slot? The regular drop is technically better. Oh. Is it gone? Like from a visual standpoint, it's like, oh, this looks like a bunch of body armor and crap. So, as opposed to just a bunch of straps. What's our time look like? 10 minutes. I feel like, unless you're a really patient camper, you're like, all right, I'm out of here. So I'm feeling good about getting out of here. I'm playing this like it's my character. Team number slots, but when you drop just 4 slots that could hold. I see what you're saying. The configuration is better. So I'm in the middle of this area. There's 2 warehouses that have open. So this is basically pointing at 17 down there. Next to that under construction building. We get our heading. And I feel like those scavs in the parking lot had eyes on me, but I was not a threat to them, so they just didn't care. Because I am brethren scav. We just walk like a scavs. Definitely shouldn't side strafe. So if I shoot a scav, I gotta take care of all the witnesses. And then go find their families. And if they have any pets, of course I adopt the pets. I think this is it. Burn their houses to the ground. Bust out all of their teeth. File down their fingerprints. Is that too much? I think I'm going around the wrong thing. It was what? 8 minutes. This is the warehouse, right? Go over the... Almost there. Extraction. Woo! Good job. Thanks. If only I could do that with my Actual player. But again, and then again, I guess like you said, if you're not a threat to scavs, I guess it's a lot easier. So other than the pouch, other than the pouch, there are ways to make progress even if you just get killed every time. Assuming you can find something to loot. It seems like, so that's kind of nice. Strip you naked, send you back out there, slap them on the untransfer. Oh, all all this stuff. Sorry, I wanted to send him home with a little something. Let me take the batteries. It's like I don't know. I don't know what the. I have two double A batteries now. I could put that in something, right? Walkie-talkie. That's the extent of my storage. Now I see why people buy the big, redonkulous stashes. So it's only been about 2 hours, but it also is almost 2 a.m. for me. So I feel like we ended there because I don't want to jump on like one more time and then die and be like, oh, now I feel sad. Watch me. I guarantee you in the future play session though, I'm gonna be like, okay, we're gonna put this rifle on. We're gonna take this rifle with us and shoot people from a long range. I'm gonna put a scope on it and everything too. How do I inspect it? Inspect it. Good luck. Yeah, so far so okay, good. Appreciate you hanging out and coach me a little bit. Yeah, quite the learning curve. I definitely need to watch like a video here and there. Probably like reviewing some of the aspects of the game or the basics. It's like the basic thing here to do. This is how you loot, kind of. Recommend checking out Smoke for A+. Dude, it's good explaining what he's doing. Okay, I'll check that out. But yeah, learning how to, like, weapons, what goes on what, I feel like it's going to be a little hard, even though one video pointed out, like, you could go to the store and find out from there how to... We'll figure it out. But, yeah, I had fun. It's fun for what it was. I think I jumped into factory for like 2 seconds with my actual player. That probably was the mistake there. I probably should only maybe do scav runs on factory. I don't know. I guess it's good to just feel it out for myself also. But I think I only ran into the one guy that ran in front of me that was a real character, and then some guy who killed me. Yeah, it's so condensed, all that. It's very condensed area. Easy found by gear players, yep. But yeah, I had some fun. I guess we'll jump back on tomorrow. Hopefully I did a little homework, so I'll maybe have an idea of what I want to do. I'll be like, okay, I want to go here and do this. You know, have something instead of just going in blind, even though it was... we still had fun that last map. I was kind of blind. I had a map on the window. Excellent tip. But just wandering around trying to figure things out. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. If I don't, I'll see you guys later. I'm out. Peace.